of timely. We thought we wanted to spend a few minutes and chat about a topic that I think a lot of people, they might not even know that they're going to be coming across it, but it's really good to be prepared. And it's about being home for the holidays. If a lot of times people are traveling home or spending time over the holidays with your parents or grandparents or loved ones, and then what to do if you see changes in them and it's causing you some concern. So I think you guys probably hear a lot about this after the holiday season or even during the holiday season. Do you, Tamara, about people who see changes in their loved ones?
Yes, so families that live away and often come home for the holidays, you know, they might come in and they might recognize some slight changes going on with their family member.
Yes.
And so, you know, then they become very alarmed and wonder how long this has been going on. And so, yeah.
Okay, so it is a common thing if they're seeing some changes. And I guess what kind of, I mean, there's some changes, you know, that are kind of normal, part of the normal aging process, but then there's other changes that could be causing some alarm. So what are kind of changes people should be watching for when it comes to if you're home for the holidays and you're spending time, maybe you haven't been in your parents' home for a few months or even longer. So what kind of things would people be watching for?
So you definitely want to be watching for some physical changes. You know, some weight loss, some weight gain, change in their balance. You know, are they still able to get up from their chair without, you know, falling? Have they been falling? You know, so the physical changes, of course.
Okay.
And then you want to watch for some emotional changes. So are they still social? Are they still doing the things they used to like to do? Some people used to like to bake and cook. Are they still cooking and baking? Playing cards, going to church, going to their hairdresser, anything like that. You also want to look for maybe their medications. Are they taking their medications properly?
Right.
Are there, you know, empty bottles laying around? Right.
So what else, Mary? I know so emotional, medication, physical, other things we should be watching for?
So the home environment itself. So, you know, are they, you know, turning up the furnace way too high or turning the furnace on at all, you know, when it's appropriate? Are they doing their laundry? Are, you know, little things, do you see the stove being left on or pots being burned or little changes in the environment that you might see that, you know, shouldn't be there? Are they misplacing things, putting things where they don't belong? For instance, putting the milk in the cupboard or, you know, their earrings in a sugar bowl kind of thing, right?
So if you happen to come across something, it might just be, and you just think, oh, you know, sometimes I think you kind of laugh these things off, like, oh, Mom, you know, you put the milk in the cupboard again, huh? But you know, sometimes if you see that or see other things with that, then it might be time just to kind of pause and just give that some thought about what's happening.
And a big one we often see, and a really dangerous one that we like to talk about, is their driving habits. You know, are they driving? Do you see any new dents in their car? And the big question I always like to ask is, would you put your grandchild, you know, your son or daughter, in the car with your mom or dad? You know, and I usually get the head turning and the big eyes at that point, because there's an indication that, you know, maybe they shouldn't be driving at this point. So.
And that's a really difficult conversation, and I know one that a lot of people, you know, are hesitant to have or feel like it's really challenging to have with their loved one, but definitely one, and I love the way you guys put that, is that kind of example. Would you put your child or grandchild in with them? And you know, and it's just sometimes that is part of the aging process, and one of those things that could be a real safety hazard to them and to others as well.
And it's a huge impact on somebody, because they feel like they've lost their independence. And we have to remember that driving is a privilege and it's not a right. You know.